At 95, Clint Eastwood is finally breaking his silence, and he's got some sharp words about Rob Reiner's parenting mistakes. Clint Eastwood, born Clinton Eastwood Jr. on May 31, 1930, in San Francisco, California, grew up during the harsh uncertainty of the Great Depression. His family was constantly on the move, as his father hunted for steady work, and that restless lifestyle built something powerful in young Clint. A deep independence and grit that would shape not only his legendary movie roles, but his entire outlook on life.
This way, if I'm doing the wrong thing, it's too bad.
But you don't care that much now. Do
No,
you care
just,
less
you
now,
know,
you
just-
think?
You kind of go with your instincts. You rely more on your instincts as you go along. At least I have.
Clint wasn't the loud, attention-grabbing type. He was the quiet observer, sharp, thoughtful, and always watching. That calm intensity became his signature trademark on screen later on. Before the glitz of Hollywood came knocking, Clint lived like any regular guy, hustling through different jobs just to get by. He worked as a lifeguard, delivered newspapers, did shifts in a steel mill, and even served in the U.S. Army during the Korean War era. Those tough years grounded him and built a work ethic that fame could never shake. Unlike other stars who seemed born from Hollywood's spotlight, Clint always kept the mindset of a man who had lived outside the glamour. He never lost touch with real life. His acting career kicked off quietly in the 1950s with a few small-time film gigs, but things exploded in 1959 when he landed his first big break, the role of Rowdy Yates in the hit Western series Rawhide. The show ran for 8 seasons, and suddenly Clint Eastwood was a household name, the dependable tough guy everyone admired.
Making movies, do you enjoy it more now, or?
I do. I enjoy it. As much. I couldn't calculate that, but I enjoy it because it seems easier now. It's because get an idea and you kind of go with it. When you're a younger person, you wonder, am I doing the right thing? What is this? What is that?
But here's where it gets wild. Instead of staying comfy in his TV success, Clint made a daring move that would change Hollywood forever. In the mid-1960s, he took off to Europe to star in a string of gritty, low-budget westerns directed by the Italian mastermind Sergio Leone, and the rest, as they say, became movie legend. Movies like A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly didn't just make Clint Eastwood famous, they flipped the entire Western genre upside down. With barely any dialogue, that icy stare, and his calm but dangerous presence, Eastwood brought to life the legendary Man with No Name.
I don't know. I don't look at him. He's different. He's somebody else.
Well, that's all right.
I'm in the inward looking outward. I'm not looking back inward.
He didn't need long speeches. One look from him said it all. That quiet strength made him a new kind of movie hero, one who carried more power in silence than others did with words. Those films turned Eastwood into an international superstar and changed how the world saw action movies forever. When he came back to Hollywood, he didn't slow down for a second. In the 1970s, his portrayal of Inspector Harry Callahan in Dirty Harry became one of the most unforgettable roles in film history. The character stirred plenty of debate, but audiences couldn't look away. Eastwood's no-nonsense style captured the restless mood of the times. He became the face of raw justice and fearless independence.
Well, he's doing well. He's got a few projects, and he's getting some kind of activity, and I hope he has as much luck and fun doing it as I did at that stage, and still having at this age.
But behind that tough exterior, Clint was already thinking bigger. He wanted control over his creative future. Determined to call his own shots, he founded Malpaso Productions, a bold move that gave him total freedom in Hollywood. As a director, he stood out for being fast, humble, and laser-focused. He didn't waste time with endless takes. He trusted his actors to bring the real emotion to every scene. That trust built deep respect and loyalty among his crew, and it showed in his films. As the years passed, Eastwood's storytelling grew more thoughtful and emotional. Movies like Unforgiven tore apart the very myths that had made him famous, turning into haunting reflections on violence, regret, and the passage of time. Unforgiven didn't just earn Clint Eastwood praise, it swept the Oscars, winning 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. That moment sealed his status as one of cinema's all-time greats. But Clint didn't stop there. Movies like $1 Million Baby, Gran Torino, Mystic River, and Letters to Iwo Jima showed a whole new side of him. These films dug deep into the human spirit, exploring guilt, redemption, and the complicated truths people often avoid facing. Eastwood's storytelling carried a quiet, emotional punch that hit audiences straight in the heart. What's even more unbelievable is how his creativity just kept growing with age. While most people start stepping away from the spotlight, Clint did the opposite. He kept creating, kept directing, and even kept acting well into his 80s and 90s. His later work wasn't about holding on to fame, it was about sharing hard-earned wisdom. Each film felt like a conversation about legacy, forgiveness, and what time does to all of us. There's a calm grace to his late career films. They don't scream for attention, they speak with honesty and experience. But here's something not everyone knows. Clint Eastwood is also a talented jazz pianist and composer. Music runs deep in his soul. It's that quiet rhythm that's always been there, shaping his life and seeping into his films. Instead of loud, over-the-top scores, he prefers subtle tunes that whisper emotion, giving scenes an elegant, personal touch. That musical sensitivity shows the man behind the legend, thoughtful, humble, and deeply human. And of course, Clint's personal life has been just as intriguing as his film career. His relationships, marriages, and family stories have fascinated fans for decades. While his public image is calm and reserved, just like the stoic heroes he played, behind the scenes lies a complex man driven by loyalty, evolving love, and a powerful sense of duty towards his kids. On December 19, 1953, a young and unknown Clint Eastwood tied the knot with Maggie Johnson, a woman who would become one of the most important figures in his entire life. At that time, Clint wasn't the Hollywood icon we know today. He was just another struggling actor trying to catch a break. Maggie, on the other hand, came from a more steady, traditional world. She believed in him before the fame, before the money, before Dirty Harry or The Man with No Name. That marriage marked the start of a partnership that would last for over 30 decades, weathering the chaos of fame, film sets, and constant public attention. As Clint's career exploded through the late 1950s and 1960s, first with Rawhide and then his legendary westerns, the couple faced the growing tension between his skyrocketing career and the quiet life Maggie once knew. Fame brought long working hours, endless travel, and non-stop media glare. Their relationship faced serious tests, but for years they managed to hold on, navigating the storm together as Clint became one of the most recognizable faces in the world. Out of that marriage came 2 incredibly talented kids. Their son, Kyle Eastwood, born in 1968, didn't chase acting like his dad. He found his rhythm in music. Kyle became a respected jazz bassist and composer, carving out his own space in the industry and even working on film scores for some of his father's movies. Meanwhile, their daughter, Allison Eastwood, born in 1972, followed a creative path too. She became an actress, director, and environmental activist, using her platform to make a difference beyond Hollywood. Even though Clint's packed schedule often kept him away, he never lost sight of his kids. He encouraged them to stand on their own feet and build their own identities. Rather than dragging them into his shadow, he pushed them to express themselves freely, and that's exactly what they did. By 1984, Clint Eastwood and Maggie Johnson's long marriage had finally come to an end, after years of strain, long separations, and the constant pull of Hollywood life. Their relationship had survived more than 30 years, but fame, distance, and the pressure of being married to one of the world's biggest stars eventually took their toll. When the divorce became official, reports claimed Maggie received a massive settlement, somewhere between $25 and $30 million, a clear reflection of both the marriage's longevity and Clint's incredible success by that point. But what's rare about their split is that it didn't turn into a public battle. There were no ugly feuds, no scandals splashed across tabloids. Instead, both Clint and Maggie continued to speak respectfully of each other through the years. Even though their paths went separate ways, there was still a quiet understanding. Their marriage had been real, meaningful, and foundational for both of them. It was simply a story that ran its course under the heavy spotlight of fame. More than 10 years later, Clint surprised again when he walked down the aisle with Dina Ruiz on March 31, 1996. Dina was a television news anchor, sharp, professional, and much younger than Clint, and their relationship immediately became a hot topic in the media. But this time, things were different. Clint wasn't the rising star anymore. He was already a Hollywood legend, an Oscar-winning director, and a living symbol of American cinema.
During this chapter, Dina became a visible and steady part of Clint's life. She often joined him at premieres, award shows, and red carpet events, giving the world a rare peek at the man behind the stoic movie roles. She even appeared in interviews and a few reality TV segments that revealed a softer, more family-oriented side of him. The couple welcomed their daughter Morgan Eastwood in 1996, and Clint embraced fatherhood with a new level of dedication. Morgan was mostly kept away from the chaos of Hollywood, growing up quietly while later exploring small roles in acting and modeling. Those close to Clint say he was deeply protective and proud of her, a man who, after a lifetime in the spotlight, found peace in simply being a present and loving dad. Clint Eastwood's bond with his daughter Morgan revealed a gentler, more open-hearted side of the man the world had always seen as the silent, no-nonsense tough guy. With her, Clint showed warmth and patience, a softer energy that few ever expected from the same guy who once growled, "Do you feel lucky?" on screen. But even that tenderness couldn't stop the cracks that began to form in his marriage to Dina Ruiz. By August 2013, Dina went public, confirming that she and Clint were living apart, and just like that, the story exploded everywhere. The separation marked the beginning of the end for their relationship, and the following year, their 2014 divorce became a headline-grabbing event. Reports described tense moments, with disagreements over money and privacy, making it one of the few times Clint's personal life got tangled up in full-blown media chaos. For a man who had spent decades guarding his privacy, it was a rare glimpse into a world he usually kept tightly sealed. Eventually, the legal battle wrapped up, allowing both Clint and Dina to go their separate ways, calmer, wiser, and ready to move forward. But the story of Clint Eastwood's family didn't stop there. His personal life has long been known as complex, even mysterious, with reports that he fathered 8 children with 6 different women over the years. That fact alone has fueled endless curiosity and speculation among fans and the press. Still, Clint's never been one to feed the gossip mill. He's kept quiet about the exact details, refusing to let his private world become tabloid fodder. That silence isn't coldness, it's discipline. He's always believed that what truly matters is the work, not the noise around it. And even with his unconventional family setup, one thing stands out. Clint has stayed connected to his kids, supporting them emotionally and creatively whenever they've needed him. At 95 years old, he's still that same steady figure, private, loyal, and quietly devoted to the people he calls family.
At this point in his life, Clint Eastwood has hit a stage where reflection speaks louder than restraint. Nearly a century of living, 8 kids, countless films, and generations of directors who've looked up to him has turned him into a man who talks with quiet authority, not noise or controversy. And when he recently opened up about parenting in Hollywood, people listened, especially because many took his words as a subtle dig at Rob Reiner's way of raising his son. But Clint didn't sound bitter or angry, far from it. His tone was calm, almost philosophical, shaped by years of juggling fame, fatherhood, and accountability. "I've never believed that protecting a child from the world prepares them for it," said Eastwood. "Life isn't gentle, and pretending otherwise doesn't help anyone grow." His words hit deep, honest, simple, and full of hard-won truth. Without naming names, he drew a clear line between his own old-school values and what he sees as Hollywood's softer, overprotective parenting style. Clint laid it plain and simple. He believes in independence. He's watched generations of parents in Hollywood twist love into constant protection, and he's not afraid to say it's a problem. "There's a difference between loving your child and shielding them from every uncomfortable truth," he explained. And then came the line that really hit. "When parents confuse the two, the child grows up expecting the world to bend for them." That's vintage Eastwood right there. Tough love, no sugarcoating. People close to him say those thoughts come from decades of seeing the Hollywood bubble up close, where fame, politics, and public image can blur what real parenting should look like. At 95, Clint's not trying to stir drama. He's speaking from experience, calling it like he sees it. Clint Eastwood made sure his kids grew up grounded, not pampered. He raised them mostly outside the glare of Hollywood, teaching them the value of work, accountability, and resilience over entitlement. "I didn't raise my kids to agree with me," he once said. "I raised them to stand on their own feet." That's pure Eastwood wisdom, simple, strong, and straight to the point. When asked about Rob Reiner, Clint didn't throw shade, he gave credit where it was due, acknowledging Reiner's creativity and success. But then he hit the truth hard. "Being a great filmmaker doesn't make you a great father," Eastwood remarked. "Parenting isn't about applause or being admired. It's about letting your child fail, struggle, and learn who they are without a script." Those words carried the weight of experience, the kind that comes from a man who's lived through fame, mistakes, and lessons that no camera could ever capture. Eastwood's parenting philosophy has always circled back to one thing: personal responsibility. He believes too much ideological influence, whether political, social, or cultural, can trap a kid under expectations that aren't truly their own. "Kids shouldn't grow up feeling like they represent their parents' beliefs," he said. "They should grow up discovering their own." That's Clint in a nutshell: old school, independent, and unapologetically real. Now, at his age, he's not chasing approval or trying to please anyone. His words come with calm honesty, not judgment, but concern. He's watched a whole new generation come up in a world of likes, validation, and constant online attention, and he's warning against it. "If you raise a child to believe the world owes them something, you've already done them a disservice," he said. "The world doesn't owe us anything. That's the first lesson." In the end, Eastwood's reflections weren't really an attack on Rob Reiner. They were a wake-up call to Hollywood itself. He sees a culture too focused on protecting kids instead of preparing them. And as he steps into the twilight of his long, incredible life, his message rings loud and clear. You don't raise strong people by making life easy. You teach them how to face it. If you felt Clint's wisdom hit home, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment about what you think of his words, because real talk like this deserves to be heard.